GODSENT. I'm going to be starting on the T side of Inferno. Of course, it is their map pick of choice here.
Now, what can Endpoint pull out on this CT side? I'm seeing some utility over towards Crucial, and the rest with armor. They've got Mighty Max with a kit too, so I think they've just loaded up Crucial with what he can. And heavy presence towards Bracket, so just Mighty Max overwatching the banana. He's got that smoke to hopefully try and just stop any aggression and buy him some time for the rest of the rotate. But look how deeply set GODSENT are. They are just going for that slow progression through second mid, and that strangling slow approach may net them the dividends that they want.
Yeah, it could be a pretty scary pistol for GODSENT if they do walk into the clutches that Endpoint have around the brackets at the A site. 4 players currently there with only the lurking player in Mighty Max over at that B site, which is kind of interesting, right? Because if somehow GODSENT manage to get through apartments and the challenge is there, they lose that kid on the other side of the map, that's not going to be workable.
That could be disaster. Now, Borat, this is a big push through mid.
Timing, no
yin
way.
And yang.
Yeah, Taco's going to see a lot of CT bodies there, and then Dumao. How many frags do you actually get at this point? They're already starting to spray him as the planet goes down. One, maybe a second, not going to happen. Now they got a marathon to get over towards A.
Absolutely. They're at the wrong destination, and their luggage is currently en route through Arch. So maybe this crossfire could be effective as Phelps takes the aggro off, but is put into the dirt. However, Phelps remains alive, so he has a role to play here and is doing a good job of thinning the herd somewhat, and he finds another one.
That was through the smoke onto Mighty Max on the site. He was the one with the kit, so I guess no real armor behind it to assist, but that will get the closer out in the end. It's a very interesting pistol to dissect completely. I think timing for both squads was the benefit and the doubt of that factor.
Yeah, just some impatience from Endpoint.
Yeah.
Pushing down mid, don't get me wrong, I think it was a very bold call to do so. However, apartments were completely unchecked.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you have to be careful, you know, which is weird, right? Because you got a 4-player stack over toward the top brackets as well. For not really having anything too hardly pressed in apartments. They did have it in the very beginning, but the drawback and the call made to run down mid, again, you know, you talk about timing. It's one of those, what if they stayed another literal 1 second, you know, GODSENT be seen potentially, but regardless, it was a tease to find the round. Endpoint getting the purchase up into this. No real util available to challenge down Banana. They have to just withdraw at that point. And the dump smokes for Mighty Max to be able to play with. I dare say he's not going to be able to, though. Yeah,
the timing just didn't work out. He went back to collect another smoke to try and just see whether or not he could get the rotate to come through by just holding things up a little bit. However, GODSENT...
That's a save.
Yeah, GODSENT went straight into that B-bomb site. Phelps has just picked him over the top of the smoke, and now Endpoint have gone straight into that full save. You're right. They're going to try and just take everything they can into the next round. Big investment from them, so they're trying to maximize the effectiveness of this investment.
Which is fine as well. It'll give them an opportunity in the next round to get some damage out as well. And I think if you're GODSENT, you might even not justify going for the hunt, right? Just make sure you bring up your utility in the next round. Your weaponry that you've got now is fine for a round that's going to come.
You've got your one expendable in Taco. Now Surreal has fired a warning shot. Taco's going to see what he can find. Crucial with a haymaker through the hay bale.
Boris to see if he can find his hand in anything as well. But that's going to be the closer of the round. So I guess at this point in time, it's kind of got to be just the same round style on the utility, on the weaponry. Surreal did get, I don't know if you call it an upgrade onto the MAC-10.
Potential for kill bonus.
That's true.
And somewhat slight reinvestment coming back through. 5 grenades, though, for Endpoint.
Yeah, a bit of a nade stack potential. It's
4.
Yeah, split out. It's going to be down Banana with those ones. They do go deep, and they miss the mark.
Yeah, unfortunate. However, there is a second wave of utility yet to be revealed, and there it goes.
Ooh,
Okay. That's a good kill to net after the grenades hit their mark.
Yeah, the utility dumping onto Dumao. He gets finished off in the end. So I guess if there was anyone you were okay in losing, it would be someone who had already been chipped on down. And whilst the shifts do start to happen for Endpoint over to the B site. I don't feel like GODSENT are completely sent with going over there at the moment. The progressive smoke over towards the jungle side of the A brackets, and it just opens up an avenue, a pathway for GODSENT to get into the A site.
But it's going to clear out apartments. And, well, Crucial has doubled back in towards the A bomb site. However, I think the call is just simply to try and put all your eggs in one basket, go for the gamble at this stage. You're not really going to be able to defend this bomb site with 2 players. So might as well try and defend B with 4. Some of these players already, like Crucial and Nerds, are going to take armor into the next round. So important for them to save what they can.
It's been a problem, the CT side economy, and economy for that matter for Endpoint in this series totally. So they have to make sure that when they do get their proper guns into their hands, that they just maximize on them. They make sure that they get that round. They start to get something happening in this game as well. And then we got the series completely on our hands. But I mean, for right now, it is really early in this map as well. You know, we looked at the pistol, we looked at the other rounds, and it's only been those pistols, again, that Endpoint have been able to play with.
So super important that Crucial and Nerds save what they can. They're not even interested in going for it. And Mighty Max, I mean, yeah, the Galil's viable on that CT side.
Yeah, I don't know if it's probably a weapon that you even want to carry over with the prospect of the M4s coming into your possession next. I mean, you could swing it to get an AWP out, but then again, you're looking at what's Crucial. He can buy one for himself.
Yeah. Be interested to see positionally how that works. But GODSENT themselves retaining the Galil on Taco. Mac 10 on Barton too. So they're going to go for as much of a bonus round as they can.
Yeah, we'll see what they're going to be able to do with this round at the moment. Of course, it does look like we've had a little bit of a connection issue.
I have never seen the round timer do something funky like that. But let's just say the GODSENT that we're seeing, I'm liking what I'm seeing from them. In terms of Endpoint, starting to feel those struggles, aren't they? This was the round, though, where that redemption arc, if it was going to begin, would begin.
Yeah, well, this is going to be the one when they finally got their guns, right? This is the round that they're going to be able to try and string something together. I'm interested to see what their defenses around Banana specifically are going to be. They've put a lot of their players around these, the bracket control in the early ones, the early rotations as well, because just of the lackluster ability that they've had around the guns, around the utility. They've had to make those decisive calls to just put their eggs in that one basket, as we said it. So it definitely is a lot of different things they can do in toward this next round. I do just get the feeling, though, we know they're not going to roll over and die, but if they do lose this first gun round, when is it going to happen that they start to get at least some grasp on the CT side?
Yeah, that's the question. I mean, you don't want to take too long to do that, do you? You want to try and get into the groove as quickly as possible. You start to lose that battle on CT side. It is still that slightly preferred side, of course, on Inferno, but yeah, you can lose control of the game early on in the piece, and you don't want to be doing that. So there's not a lot to analyze, to be honest, because what we've seen from Endpoint's point of view is that they are just trying to make as best decision as they can, trying to retain weapons, trying to retain armor, as crucial as it is, and just trying to get longevity out of those early investments.
And that's going to be one of the biggest things, isn't it? The longevity of what they can actually afford on the CT side. If they don't get... let's put it in a world, if they do trail at the first half, you know, they're going to need an explosive T side as well. And it's they're definitely a comparable team when it does come to the T side affairs as well. They can certainly string together some rounds on that one. And whilst the percentages still doesn't fare too well for them, I mean, we've seen what they've already been able to do in terms of that 14-4 recovery. And I think that's the mindset they're going to have to go with in toward this series. A map down, not having the greatest starts on this one as well. It does shift over into, you know, that recovery phase again.
Now, I've just been updated to the Endpoint did win that round that we were about to see. So, unfortunately, we've lost connection on our end. However, the match is now paused, so they're just waiting for us to get back in. Cool. So, Endpoint did take a round win, a much-needed round win for them. And I'd be interested to see, how costly it was
Yeah, how many
on that City
players did
side.
they lose, and how many, Endpoint, or rather GODSENT had already built up a little bit of the bank as well. So if they either survived with 1 or 2 players and it was the timer effect, or if they did lose everyone, they're still going to come in with another purchase in the next round. That'll open up the window for them to get out the AWP as well. So we'll see how effective that is going to be. But I think, as we did miss it here on our stream, how many players, did survive on the Endpoint side? Did they win that round, but will they lose the war? That's the real thing.
Yeah, it's a to and fro battle. And I think it's safe to say that what I did like from what I saw of Endpoint's last map was that the youngsters were really starting to come into their own. Nertz is certainly a really talented prospect, as well as Boros too. I mean,
Yes.
the two of them, they were heavy hitting. It was the rest of that Endpoint roster that just needed to elevate their game a little bit to be able to just push them over the line a little bit more than they have been.
Yeah, those young guns are definitely the firepower that you were going to need to see come on through. I mean, you look at the numbers that they've already been putting up across their games as well. The explosive, the shifts with the pistols, not just the rifles there as well. So I'm thinking toward this map, the line of sight that they can possibly get on out. Again, I just really want to see, I think, of the course of the next 2 gun rounds, potentially what impact they're going to have, and just the sort of meta shifting from Endpoint. Again, I make mark of they have been rotating early. It's because they didn't have the best weapons. So how are they going to get their rotates out whilst they do have it? Because they just won that round. They've got another purchase here. Now, as it does start to bring it on through, we'll have a little bit of a check-in with what's happening over on the B stream at the moment between Anonymo and Mavista Riders. It does seem like Anonymo won the first map, so they're just in the early stages of Nuke now, the second.
Yeah, thanks to the magic of television, we can cross live to the other matches on the B stream. But I mean, this was another explosive match for me. It was one that I was looking forward to. Obviously, both these two teams were probably touted as teams that could have gone through easily 3-0, but unfortunately they meet each other at some point in this bracket, right?
Yeah, and I mean, you look at the names of Anonymo, and they're just such staple names. I mean, you think about how long Snacks has been around, much longer than I have. That is certain. Goes back a stretch. And you look towards Mavista Riders as well, a team that's starting to really move up the ranks in the regions as well around the world. And it is, as you say, 2 teams here that could have made it through. And they're in the upper bracket still, so that's a good thing. One team will bow down on the back of it, and they've got that potential lower bracket run.
Absolutely. And I mean, you look at the experience that this Anonymo roster has. They made some changes. They brought in Snatchy. They brought in, I think it was Rallin as well, is a recent addition. So between the two of them, 2 Polish players that have a lot of experience, and then they're already joining an established roster that was starting to build on some success. They probably struggled a little bit compared to what we expected. But thankfully now we're back into this. We're going to get back into this Endpoint match. Now, it does seem as though the losses were relatively minimized.
Yeah,
they survived with at least 2.
It's dangerous, Jim. I'm doing math right now. It seems 3 players did survive on the CT side on the back of that round that we did unfortunately miss. So that's good for them. They don't have to invest too much back into this one. It's Boris, Nertz, and I guess Mighty Max who are a little bit without cash moving forward if it doesn't go their way. But at least Endpoint did get that round on the board.
Now, let's just see whether or not they can follow it up with another round where now Crucial's already found the opener here onto Taco, who was just prodding around in second. He was probably just minding his own business, I'll be honest. And that has netted some goods for Endpoint. As it seems as though they're running straight into the bear trap at top of Banana.
That's a great frag for Nertz to be able to find. It'll definitely put a standstill onto GODSENT for the next little while. They don't have any utility to be able to work with, so it's going to be these dry duels from here on out. And how are they going to work this one? Starting to progress up through towards Banana. Some elevation to come out from Boros. Mighty Max getting shouldered on out. Might have been a pretty good time for GODSENT to start to waltz on through, but just seeing Mighty Max there, just having that presence forces them back, and it's a save call.
Oh, they are so deep in second mid. I doubt they'd even get into the bomb site, to be honest. So, big call to save. But, I mean, yeah, Phelps has got relatively healthy utility. I mean, you can drop utility now, right? You've got money to do so. Taco and Dumel will be forced to fend for themselves. But, I mean, Endpoint, they've really turned this around. And this is where they want to really start to build economy. They keep 5 alive here. That's the perfect scenario to be able to do so. You already see Crucial, Surreal. They're starting to notch up some good amount of money. They've already got good, healthy utility too. So this is good, healthy signs from Endpoint.
Yeah, Jamal, Taco, that you do mention it there. We'll see if they're going to get a purchase behind them. It does look like the shuffling is happening on the GODSENT side, so they're very, very interested. And I guess that's the beauty of having 3 people survive instead of 2. You can more so go in for a bit of something in the round, but they're not going completely balls to the wall with it. Actually, I lied. Jamal eventually does get the purchase up. He's the last one out through spawn. And that's not the way you want to start off.
No, I wouldn't be surprised to see them just juggle that AK off Phelps too, because he's already taken an arrow to the leg.
And all the utility that Endpoint are putting down Banana will allow them a bit of an adventure later on. A couple of mollies, the deep smoke as well, getting the full clearing out. Return and Molotov from GODSENT 2 will actually provide them the insurance policy to go on through.
You need to be careful here, Endpoint. Don't want to get caught out in Banana like that. So just trying to keep as much distance as possible between them and GODSENT now.
Yeah, Phelps is the one given the utility. He doesn't have the HP to be the entry here, so one of the benefits of the update with the utility parts in it. But they're not being allowed through, and this is ambitious. The flash in, borrowed by 1, not the second. And this is go time for GODSENT to get into B site.
Here we go. Mighty Max has got some work to do. Couldn't find the second though. And that means that Crucial has potentially got some timing here. Doesn't find the line though. He does find Doom out. So he makes the numbers slightly in favor. That's a good return from Phelps. However, Surreal catches him through the smoke. And now it's all to do for Barton, who has not much to work with, I'll be honest.
Yeah, well, the 1 versus 2 to come on through Surreal and Nerds with the flashes, no smokes. So if they can find one on the floor, maybe it makes it a little bit better for them to be able to go in with the challenge right now. But that time certainly is ticking on down. Someone's going to have to go for the full stick as Barton starts to shoulder it out. He finds the... No, he doesn't find the frag. He finds the jewel.
Nothing.
It doesn't win it. So the defuse comes through, and we are all tied up 3 apiece.
So that round was somewhat expensive for Endpoint. But I mean, this is where, as we said, those rounds where they've gone through and kept players alive. They had that 5 alive round where GODSENT saved in apartments. That was the round where, yes, okay, they've lost, but it wasn't super expensive. They've been able to buy into it quite nicely. So Surreal there just taking the line, taking that duel. As we said, Barton really didn't have a lot to work with, unfortunately. And GODSENT just struggling a little bit on their T side, but it's still early days just yet. Everything is drawn up nice and level, so unnecessary, I would say.
Too early for chicken.
Never too early for chicken.
It's too early for the grenade damage that comes off the GODSENT, however. Phelps manages to at least find 1, and the CT's return with 2. Lots of utility damage starts to come out, and it's just immediately sent GODSENT packing over to the A site. They're still going with the haste narrative right now, but straight in towards the AWP scope of Crucial. That would be a world of pain if they continue.
Yeah, now Crucial going to be smoked out, so he's going to have to play back from Mini Pit. And, well, there's only 1 player in Surreal defending this Diggity until Crucial now has the cover. The utility usage has been good.
Yeah, well, that's going to be the first rifle with frag in the round for Endpoint. There's 3 on the back of the util. Now it is just going to be down to Demau to see what can come. What can happen here? The Galil and a molly. The bomb on the floor. It's going to be overlooked by Surreal as he starts to reposition to the pit, courtesy of the smoke. And, I mean, they can kind of sacrifice a couple of bodies here if they need to. Surreal does go down, but this is where the real crunch comes on out, and it's a dink onto Crucial, but it doesn't go all of the way. Endpoint, take the lead.
That is a round now where we have a tactical timeout coming out from GODSENT. Obviously, this is an important one for them because they're on that, I guess, that tipping point. You could see there that they started to build economy after some good early first halves. However, it really did take a nosedive So this is where they're discussing whether or not they're in that sort of territory where they do start to force buy. I mean, if they're reading or trying to read their opponent's economy, probably not going to go for some heavy investment. Maybe just buying down to that 2K mark and let the loss bonus do the rest. So that's where they're going to try and source their Phelps on that hero AK. They're buying down even less than that. Okay.
Yeah, the extra call has been made.
Yeah.
I think that they I didn't quite catch if one player accidentally overpurchased and then the rest are following behind it. But it does suggest to me that there's going to be a full plan of action coming into it instead of just that hero AK. It still is a hero AK, but not in the sense that it's your only weapon to be able to play with. You've got the MAT 10s as well as the Tech 9 and the Deagle there. But the util line's starting to be drawn on up. Now go over towards the A site. Meanwhile, you've got banana control for Endpoint already.
Yeah, and they're pushing too, so if they're not careful, they could be flanked quite quickly here, GODSENT. I feel as though they're ready for it. They do have Dumao in position, but he's only got a Tech 9, so he's not going to be able to stop the stream. And Nertz has already struck, so this is good signs already for Endpoint. They're going to get into this pit. Phelps has taken out the graveyard position. They do, however, still have a strong crossfire potential once that smoke fades.
And the bomb, it will be retrieved, and he's just going to Houdini himself out of there. He's gotten it, and the fallen back. Phelps is into the grave and not the graveyard. And we already saw some kills come through from Nertz. Play disadvantage for GODSENT as Dumao can try and slip the net here.
Now, I thought maybe they could pincer back onto that B bomb site, but the call, I think, has been made. Back towards A. That's an M4 here for Dumao. Now, he's not going to expect the second play. He would suspect.
Nah, you would not expect this whatsoever. I do wonder if Dumao's going to full-on clear, and the answer is no. Now it's down to Taco. With a Mac 10, you don't want to play with that at range, so the sidearm has been pulled out. But they're thinking that he's potentially over towards the bottom of mid with the shifting that Mighty Max is doing around the archway, but the plant will start to go down. Does Mighty Max continue on this venture by himself, or does he wait for Crucial to come through? It's with an open hand for the latter-mentioned player. He will look to do a little bit of the waiting game, however.
Now, should Taco have to take close range duels, that's a great grenade. It's just going to muffle his sound slightly too for the moment.
Yeah, well, they've locked Taco in toward the side as the Flames do go towards pit, starting to clear a bunch of these angles. The elevation on the box will provide the line of sight that Mighty Max was wanting. And the defuse will come through. Everything was forced up there for GODSENT, remember, so it doesn't really work out. You talk about the damage factor to Endpoint. Means nothing in the grand scheme of things because they've still got money.
However, GODSENT have been able to get themselves money on the back of that bomb plant as well as the loss bonus combining, so things are looking better for them in this round. They need to make something happen. They have done a little bit of damage to Endpoint, but as you said, not consequential in terms of that economy. They're still building it quite strong. However, they start to string some of these gun rounds together and they might be able to get themselves back into that box seat with control over the CT economy. Now, I think Pilsky is a fan of the caprese salad.
Yeah, Mac was for the calamari, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, you think after all this time, he'd be sick of calamari?
I'm not a fan of anything from the sea. Seafood.
There's a joke riddled and wrapped in that one. Calamari.
Let me have a ponder on it.
Okay. I'll leave you to ponder over the pond, as we do have a momentary pause here, and I think that's actually going to work in favour of GODSENT because it just allows them now to talk this one out and just see where they're at in terms of just making these rounds happen. You can see that Taco's already bought into this. The rest of the team are just waiting things out for that unpause to come through so they can purchase. But this is a gun round for GODSENT. There's no two ways about this. They need to make it work because it has felt like there has been a long gap between rounds for them.
Yep. Yeah.
I used to have a monitor like that.
That was before my time. I can certainly say that with confidence.
I actually had it right up until last year.
Oh, wow. There you go. I mean, I think when you're talking about a CRT and everything, it's like old style, some fighting games and stuff. It goes good.
Absolutely. what you want are the, to be honest, CRTs did high refresh rates long before we were discussing them in esports.
There you go.
I was playing on 120 hertz, 19-inch flat CRT, 4x3, of course, in 2006. Actually, mine did 140 hertz.
Wow. There you go.
160 if you pushed it to 640 by 480 resolution.
The big resolution back then.
800 by 600 was probably the most common, 4x3 res. If you played on 1024 by 768, which by now today's standards is a, I don't know.
It's common stretch res.
That is considered a low resolution. As let's just say that widescreen didn't exist back then. So everyone's like, oh, 4x3 on a widescreen resolution makes things nice, big and chunky, easy to aim at. It wasn't back then.
No. I just feel like it was all pixely and blurry back then. When I think about it.
Life itself was pixely and blurry back then.
Well, whilst we still do wait, we've got a little bit of confirmation that someone had timed out, unfortunately. So they're getting the reconnections happening at the moment. And as you do mention, probably favouring GODSENT a little bit better here as well. I don't think they can have a lot of the discussion phase because this is a technical at the point in time. So, times like these, if it ever comes on, they're just thinking to themselves what individually they need to do, raise the concerns and raise the thought process when they do all get the reconnection back. I'm looking at it, it does look like we've had the reconnection. So purchases should come up in the next current moments. And then we'll start to bring it on back. But as you do say, definitely a bit of a reset period that GODSENT need to start to get their groove back.
It's not as though these rounds were going by quickly either. I mean, you'd argue that maybe if these rounds were going by at a furious pace, like some of the matches we've seen in the earlier stages of this conference stage of ESL Pro League, but this match doesn't fall into that category. Both these two teams do a good job of just regulating their tempo somewhat. They're not falling into the trap of just trying to go at this ridiculous pace. But, I mean, for GODSENT, this is a crucial round for them because this is where they may miss their opportunity to try and bring that CT economy back. There's still a few, hard roads ahead of them to bring the CT economy back under control.
Yeah.
And they're going to have to do it in rounds like this. These gun rounds, this is what's going to propel them onto that, what is considered to be a good T half on Inferno.
Yeah, a couple of rounds for the reset of that economy. It would be, I guess, a little bit better for GODSENT almost if we see a double AWP play to come through from Endpoint. I'm unsure if they actually want to endeavour down that route. It feels like they haven't really been pressured too much. And I mean, I say that, it's only 5-3. It's still kind of early game in this one. No one's gotten too far ahead of the curve at the moment, but for all the individuals farming up on the money, making sure that they're just getting situated, reading into all the plays as well. It is starting to look quite promising for Endpoint to try to send us over into to Ancient. CT side worries. They've gotten a hold of that nice and early. If they drop 1 or 2 rounds here or there, and then they get that recovery, right? They're still looking pretty good on the CT side.
Yeah, I think the point to note too is that the rest of Endpoint have actually risen a little bit in the way that they're playing. Obviously, we saw Nertz and Boros really start to come into their own. They've been playing solidly throughout the entire series. It was the rest of the squad that maybe just needed to elevate their levels a little bit to just help pitch in when it was needed, and they're doing so now on Inferno. So I think it's safe to say that they've navigated their way through what I would consider a slow start, dropping a map in the sort of fashion that they did. Not the way that you want to start, but they're now onto Inferno, and that's a map for them to potentially fight back into this series, as you said, take it to Ancient. It is their opponent's map pick, though, so Endpoint have some work to do.
Yeah, it was good to see. I was seeing the player cams there. Everyone was starting to talk, so we knew that the game was starting to come on back, and now we're rapid ready to get back in toward this one. AWP for Crucial. The jump across mid to start it on off as well. But for GODSENT, the crawl-up banana is something they haven't been able to do so far with the incendiaries and Endpoint have been layering down, and it is silence of that variety at the moment. The stack that they do have, it's going to be GODSENT throwing out the mollies to try to dislodge Nertz and Boros. A little bit of damage, but the smoke fades away, and Nertz finds Dumau.
It is eerily quiet until things explode. And again, 3 players towards the top of B. We've seen them do this a few times here, Endpoint, and once things quieten down a little bit, they do just seem to leave Mighty Max on his own to figure things out, just hold down the fort. Now, Crucial's flashed off the line, but he does re-peek, and he does find Barton. So, already, a 3 versus 5 scenario has GODSENT on the back foot. He re-aggresses. Crucial good for this, maybe not the third, but what it does do is give crucial information to the rest of Endpoint.
Yeah, just multi-frags is a menace with only finding 2 there as well. It was all that was essentially required. Makes it a little bit easier for the rest of the squad to be able to close out the round. 1-on-1 trade to come through, and it's just down to Blackjo that's caught with the molly and can't get the gun out in time, unfortunately. Clean up from Endpoint, and you look towards the money for GODSENT. They could stretch a purchase, because you think about it as they take a save, they lose the next gun round as well. The CT side is essentially just getting way in front of them. Tailing for maybe 9 to 6, a 10 to 5 challenge.
Yeah, it's not maybe as good as it could be, but they're just going to go, here we go. They're going to go straight into it. They've got Galils, they've prioritized utility. They've got Barton on that Mac 10, so the temptation to go towards B is what is luring them. Now, Nertz has taken a lot of damage, and he's finished off, so that means that they have got themselves the prize scalp that they wanted. They backed off again. And because Endpoint sent 3 over towards B, they left A short. So Crucial and I believe it's Surreal have control of apartments. That's really the best chance in this.
Yeah, and taking out the kill leader as well. He's been the one that's been taking you guys down time and time again. But Crucial is going to equalize by finding that. The second one, the trade does come through. But you talk about that gap with having the 3rd member over at B. It means it's all down to Surreal now. He gets taken out, and the flank is going to start to come through from mid. But this is the time for GODSENT to get the plant and set themselves up for the post.
Now, Boros is going to take the less traveled road through carpets. And so Mighty Max is tasked with clearing out Diggity. The utility usage is good to just try and space things out from GODSENT. They do still have some utility, more particularly that Molotov from Dumau. However, he has low HP, so they do know the position of Boros, and he has been eliminated. Phelps also peaks, and that is a nice post-plant hold from GODSENT. And this forces Endpoint to buy back into this.
Yep.
And this is where they start to whittle away that CT economy. Already you can see some of them starting to scrape the bottom of their wallet.
Yeah, a required round for GODSENT as well. Otherwise, it would have been back down toward the pistols, only riding on that loss bonus. So it does go down a tick, but it's gathering a round win. It's gathering all the guns and the utility to go at it again. And just on the back of the damage that they've been able to associate in the couple of previous rounds, we're teetering on the edge of a reset right now for Endpoint as well. And you know, that's the real big time. If that reset happens right now, that's going to be pretty much tied scoreline. So, ouch. Big boost.
Crucial with the opener. He has certainly been more lively on this map than on Vertigo. Feeling more at home. And you can see the impact he's having too. I mean, he's changed his position up as well. He went over towards B this round, and that has netted them already. A scalp as Nertz strikes again. And this constant pressure that Endpoint are putting on these choke points are forcing GODSENT backward. They're backpedaling here. They're losing the duels, and that's not working for them.
Yeah, GODSENT playing with a complete state of a fair at the moment because 2 players down for the count. You got some smokes, splashes, and mollies to play with, but if you lose that duel, that probably would have been the round. It opens up a bit of a play possibility. The rotation starts to happen from Nertz over towards B. Of course, GODSENT will have to try and find that out for themselves at the moment, but it's going to be the utility that they start to lay down around the A site that will indeed force Endpoint back.
And a 2-2 split between the CT defenders means that they are short now at A. Still 24 seconds left here. And Taco is going to try and dislodge this pit presence as Crucial is forced to play around that smoke in the A-bomb site. So the CTs are separated. Surreal's done a good job of swinging around, finding 2. It's left Crucial on this A-bomb site to try and defend. Barton can't even get in, and that is a good round. A great play from Surreal, just buying the time for Endpoint. And even then, if he takes down Crucial, Barton, he still has a CT to contend with, because that's how much time Surreal bought.
Yeah, and already seeing that GODSENT are going to be purchasing up into this
Wow.
next round. That is a stellar shot to actually come through to open it up and
Sharp.
and that one through the smoke. I did like the multi-frag and navigating around the broken wall as well. But I was going to say, Taco, immediately as the freeze time happens, you're straight on towards that AK purchase, so you already know that GODSENT are wanting to go in with the purchase, and a change of pace right now from Endpoint. We saw something like this on the previous map of Vertigo. The deeper flash coming on through. This is working wonders. Not a single frag to come through for GODSENT in the round. This is the confidence factor coming through for Endpoint.
And that's a round two where GODSENT were running out of money. And Doomau had no idea where he was.
Yep.
He was completely blind, spraying at the bottom of mid. Presence from Endpoint was fantastic. So that disruptive play on the CT side has put GODSENT on the back foot. They're in a tactical timeout now. We've seen them buy in this sort of situation too, in terms of the money. The fact that I see a Tech 9 gives me some hope. But their money situation, okay.
They really do love
$1,500
pushing the money.
Yeah, around to that $1,500 mark, I say has been the call. But I mean, Taco's gone lower than that. So how low can you go? This is a limbo.
He'll have 4,400, and for Taco, that's armor, AK, small amounts of utility. That's fine.
Yeah, maybe even back towards the Galil if he wants to prioritize a Molotov or something like that.
Now firmly in the driver's seat. Endpoint now looking to steer it into the direction of home, or maybe Ancient, rather. Silence.
Is it golden though? That's the question.
Yeah. Nice timing on the smoke. I'll keep GODSENT at bay. They'll have to set up a little bit of their own utility. It's a cheeky grenade stacked toward the pit. It'll just miss Snerts, but it's Surreal. It's back on towards Barton. Now they start to exchange positions. It is as I don't even know what's happening in this round right now. The pistol, the grenade, something's happening around this side. They're starting to get into it. Crucial says no towards Lino. The second miss comes through. The overwhelming force now of GODSENT around the site. Crucial still allowed to try and get something out in with that AWP, but now it's going to be Boris in the 1 versus 3 turned 1 versus 2.
Grenade into the middle of the site, but playing a double pit setup. This is good for GODSENT.
100%. Boris going to creep on through Diggity right now. The smoke and the flash. It's actually the perfect line of that smoke as well. It's going to isolate the GODSENT players from having a line of sight on towards the bomb. He's even going to go so far as to elevate himself, and he's declared directly under him. A shot out from Taco and answers in return with the silent shots to come out as well. Not going to get a tap on toward the bomb, however, and that is the time ticking too far now for Boris to win. GODSENT, they do win it out with one of the weaker purchases we've seen from them, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. They'll take that every day of the week. Now, this is where the end of the line is for Endpoint's money. So you can see it just starts to take a bit of a downturn, and it's actually GODSENT that are starting to rise in their trajectory. So, important round for Endpoint, because all that hard work that they've done could be surrendered. They could go from, you know, as we said, like a maybe a 10-5 scenario back to an 8-7, and that's exactly where GODSENT want to be, at that 7-round mark themselves.
Yeah, cheeky boost up at the top of Banana as well. We've seen a lot of boost attempts from Endpoint work wonders for them, so the attempt again is actually going to work in a different variety this time. Boris takes care of Doomau. And a bit of a reset on the table for GODSENT.
Okay. Let's just see what Phelps can passion up here. Nertz has been menacing. Doesn't land his shot though, so most importantly, he would have taken some information. Only one spotted in mid. That just allows Endpoint to continue in their position holding as Surreal does eliminate Phelps. And now this has forced GODSENT's hand.
Yeah, well, Nertz has got that quick rotate to spray through the CT smoke too, so there's technically 3 players here for Endpoint to be able to work with the Flames. Keeping GODSENT at bay for the current point in time as they do start to extend out into the site. It's a bit of a lopsided team flash from Barton. That doesn't work, unfortunately, and well, the CT's just come through, collect upon all of the kills. And we move on to the last round in this half, Jim. The money, I mean, it's there. It's there for GODSENT. There's enough.
Yeah, what I'm not seeing, though, is the variety that is needed. Endpoint really have been so much more solid on this CT side Inferno than we saw them on their own map picking Vertigo. I mean, not too many teams shy away from playing Inferno, I'll be honest. Everybody seems to have their own game down on it, particularly a roster such as the core three of Endpoint who have been together for such a long time.
Oh, lots of utility on top of Banana as it's Boris again to open up the books right now for Endpoint. And they're just going to fall back on this one. Lots of that util had been dumped out from GODSENT. There's more damage done to Lado and Taco that'll kind of divert the way that they're going to play the remainder of this round. Crucial now dispatches of Barton. And again, it's the CT-sided stronghold that's kind of working out for them. Crucial's
had a really good half, and I'd be interested to see what his stats were in terms of opening duels, because he has just paved the way for Endpoint.
It's been fantastic for him. All of these opening frags, the multi-kills specifically on this AWP, which, again, GODSENT have not been able to remove from him.
No, I feel like he's had that AWP in his hands for... I think he's had to buy it maybe twice, 3 times in this half. So that is... the story of how things are going. Now he's got control of the bomb, so Doom out. This is going to be a bridge too far for him, and he's just going to appear out of the balcony and disappear along with what was potentially going to be a good half for GODSENT. It is 10-5 the scoreline. We'll be back with the second half after the break. Don't go anywhere.
Playing in the European sort of scene is obviously quite tough. It's probably the most competitive one there is in Counter-Strike right now. But we've done it, for the past 2 years. We've played in tournaments. We've grinded weeks on weeks without having a day off. We've played, like in the RMR qualifiers. We've played in other qualifiers, and it's just a bit of a grind, really. You have to play every single day. Other teams are doing it as well. It's just sort of part and parcel of playing in the EU scene right now. If you're not in the top 15, top 20 teams.
Savage and Endpoint have fashioned 10 rounds on CT side of Inferno, which is interestingly GODSENT's map pink. We do switch sides now, Komodo, and I am interested now to see what Endpoint can put together and hopefully take us to Ancient with a good, solid T side. However, GODSENT have upped the ante here. This is a big push.
Yeah, I'm getting familiar vibes right now with a mid push to come out from a GODSENT. It's going to be Boros try and shut things down. A little bit of a trade come out in the flash that can't quite work wonders. It's just chaotic right now, honestly, through towards mid. Eventually, Crucial is going to have to bow his hat and go toward where the team is as they start to endeavor out in toward the side. It's Dumao from CT, who does get assaulted by Surreal.
Yeah, and it is a brutal assault too as they get into this site. Bomb plant will come in. It is Barton and Lado to try and make things work here. Now, the timing's not going to work out. Surreal has done a lot of damage and, well, there's big exchanges. However, Lado is now left on his lonesome and Surreal, that is a good pistol round from him to bring Endpoint through to the 11-round mark. So this is already starting to get difficult for GODSENT because when you start to see your opponent get on 11 in the second half, you don't have anything really to work with yourself. You're on the CT side. This is not the kind of stuff where comebacks are easily achievable.
Yeah, it certainly is going to be a challenge for them, that is for sure. They have decided to go in with the purchase on this round. GODSENT getting that Famis up. Again, I saw Taco just immediately purchase onto it. He's very rapid in getting the guns out. Fun hits the grave. Taco meets him there as well. And it does feel like this round is just, again, getting away from GODSENT. Endpoint straight turning it up in toward the A side and just not providing any ins for GODSENT in this round. It's just down to Lado. He's revealed his eagle shots and nothing comes from it.
Absolutely nothing from that round. There was investment too from GODSENT. They forced him with pistols. They had utility. A lot of them died with utility still on their belt. So I think that's a massive waste of opportunity. I mean, GODSENT, they are struggling. I don't know what happened to the GODSENT we saw on Vertigo.
Yeah, it certainly does feel like it's a different team in this one at the moment. You know, the confidence factors that we're seeing just from Phelps, as we'll take a little example from him, the control over at A ramp, he's not been able to really fashion anything on this map at the moment. Kills for sure. You're looking at Taco as well. Button, you know, the absence that we're seeing from them in all of these rounds right now, they're just completely, you know, not allowed to play their game.
Yeah, they really are struggling at the moment, GODSENT. I'm looking across that kill spread. Dumao and Phelps are the only two that have reached double digits so far. That's not going to help things. So we have Endpoint now. Just sending an exploratory mission over towards the top of Banana here. Mighty Max has got that Mac 10. Taco has the gift of surprise, the element of surprise, should I say. The gift was that he had potential to pick up a second, couldn't do so. However, Crucial has now got himself into a fantastic position. If you GODSENT right now, you take what you get at the top of Banana and you probably just save.
Yeah, potentially so. I mean, they went in it with the full eco, essentially, right now, just with the USPs. Lado has managed to retrieve the Mac 10, so if they can relieve any of the Endpoint members of their guns, might be okay.
Maybe they flash into mid here.
Yeah, it could be a definite idea. Dumao is going to set that up as well as Phelps, so they've got the layered flashes if they do want it. But the corner is already seen out by Boros. He's not going to be able to dodge it. It's a good flash on out, but it's a team flash as well. No. It's hit Lado. That is certainly not what you want.
I feel as though they get away with that relatively unscathed. However, they do lose 2 weapons. So Crucial is going to come through. He's going to be able to pick up, I would suspect, Lado. But Dumao is never far away. And they do clean up here Endpoint, so they ensure that GODSENT get away with nothing.
Yeah, well, the purchase does come through from the CTs now, so they are at least able to get that happening with the money that was already built up by Endpoint. Losing the guns to the tail end of that round is all fine and dandy. There's 8 rounds between the two right now, so if this purchase doesn't work out for GODSENT, you're probably looking towards another eco because the loss bonus isn't really built up for them. That's their 15 for Endpoint, and then you're thinking, all right, it's going to have to be that overtime run for them. If not, it will be that third map.
Yeah, there's not too many more rolls of the dice that GODSENT are going to have. Taco takes a big risk, and he doesn't get any information from that. So Crucial just gets away at the right time. Boros has done a good job of picking up now early on. However, the trade is there, so GODSENT. Oh, they've left poor Phelps on his lonesome. And Boros, he's looking dangerous.
You need to go for some risks at this point, though, if you are GODSENT. You can't really rest on your defaults to get back in toward this one. You can't wait for Endpoint to really come for you, unless you're kind of going for a full stack and a bit of a gamble in that regard. But for the regrets of the Phelps being left by himself at the moment, it does mean that it is just Lato here at the B site. He's got a mountain of a task ahead of him.
He's not too sure whether or not a flash is going to just appear in that smoke. So he's trying to just alternate between playing anti-flash himself. Oh, Boros, he rolls on. And that is going to be the B bomb site control. GODSENT, they have no choice here. Taco and Barton have to save.
Yeah, they need to at least have something to work with in the next round. As I mentioned, you know, the loss bonus isn't going to cover it. It's the 3,400 to come into their pockets, and that can't fashion absolutely anything. You know, it's going to be 14 for Endpoint. With these two rifles surviving and the tendencies that we've seen for the 4 spies, I wouldn't put it past GODSENT to purchase up. I don't want to see it personally, you know. The overtime dream, it could be quite cool to watch them attempt in this one, but I think, you know, it's... Has it gotten too far away from them now?
Maybe.
Probably.
They've got to do something funky, though. I feel as though these approaches they've been taking so far, I mean, they've been risky, but they haven't been funky.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of team flashes as well, actually, down Banana from them.
I just feel as though they're coming onto their own map pick.
All right, we're going.
Endpoint have a really solid Inferno.
Yeah.
So GODSENT picking into this, we looked at the map win percentages. Obviously, a lot of reps from both these two teams. Fairly comparable. And, you know, I felt as though the map stats, any way you looked at it, lent towards GODSENT.
Yeah.
But head-to-head directly here, Endpoint really do have all the answers.
Well, it's going to be the big round here for GODSENT again, and maybe the one that puts the nail in the coffin from Endpoint's side. Send us into that third map with an amazing amount of confidence behind them. It's a commanding scoreline victory if they close it out from here. They've immediately forced GODSENT back from Banana. Complete control does provide them with, you know, some dominating presence.
Well, it's an interesting position, right? You come into the series, both teams swap each other's map picks, but convincingly so.
Yeah.
It's almost like we're watching OC ECS.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that one. And then the third one's usually Mirage that goes into a copious amount of OT.
That's where it differs. It's ancient now.
Yeah. Alrighty, the regroup for Endpoint around the top of mid, starting to set up a lot of this utility. For GODSENT, they do have 3 players here with a little bit of utility, the trickles of it. So Taco being the one with a majority, but it's the silence for Endpoint. They're starting to just settle it down, get the progressive util out, swing out from Boros. It catches Phelps with his pants down. He's going to try and fall back. It's space for Endpoint now.
Yeah, it was the one time that he wide swung and he gets caught out. So, but now he gets drawn out into a firefight that does not favour him. Nertz capitalizes on Taco trying to find the trade, and that is the A-bomb site surrendered. Yes, there are 3 CTs ready for a retake, but if Phelps doesn't go on to find another, yeah, that's the call. Nertz is going to be the thorn in the side, and they are not going to be able to save it.
That is a great spray control to come through from Nertz as well. Yes, he does get taken down, but the damage has already been done. It goes from a round where you've got 3 guns in your possession to be able to at least fight and contend with in the next one to now 1, and maybe even not 1. The hunt is still kind of on for Endpoint. Their money is still fine to be able to justify going for this hunt. It does look like, by the way of it, that Dumao might just escape if he doesn't take a fight for himself. You'll hear that flash, but that is the map point to go over towards Endpoint, and Dumao... Okay, he's safe. They'll have an M4 at least to play with.
Yeah, that was a maybe potentially a map-winning play from Nertz to be able to capture those 2.
Oh, hang on. They've actually got a bit of money to still play with. I didn't catch how much they had behind them. They've got Northbound, they've got some M4, so yeah, no, it's actually a better purchase than I thought they'd have.
Yeah, but if they save those 3 weapons...
Oh, much better.
Utility is a little bit better. There's some more kits in play. They might not have to have gone down to an MP9 and FAMAS, so that's, you know, definitely better. But Surreal is going to push hard on the back of that Molotov, that second layer though. That's where he has to fall back. pick his battles. But, I mean, if they enter into a war of attrition and swapping utility like this, that favours Endpoint.
Yeah, well, the fallback now for GODSENT, and I'm getting, you know, those feelings of just copy and paste in this round for Endpoint. Start to get a bit of that pressure happening down Banana, force out the util from GODSENT. Maybe you want to maneuver back towards the A site and finish it up there. Certainly with a minute on the clock, they can do that if they want. It's still lent over towards B. That smoke is going to buy a little bit of time for GODSENT and provide an avenue for Endpoint to think and ponder for the time being.
As Pilsky would put it, they're just vibing.
As Pilsky would put it, it's done.
It's done. True. That call was made at probably 8-2. However, Endpoint are looking far better position than they were on Vertigo, than they ever were on Vertigo. And this is going to be heavy presence over towards B. Now that is going to at least keep the attention of 3 of GODSENT. However, Taco arrives at the right moment to take 2 with the bomb. And is that a round turning point? Is that a match turning point? With 15 seconds left, Endpoint have reached their end, at least for this round.
It is a round on the board for GODSENT here. Is it the last little scraps? Is it the last little consolation rounds that they're able to gather here? Look, maybe so. It's certainly a stretch in the round difference now turned into 9 for them to come back with. They're going to have to wrestle, surviving with all the players, essentially making sure that if they do lose a couple here and there, that they still cover it off with the money. So by all means, they are not out of the deep woods at the moment. Another purchase to come through for Endpoint here. There'll be another 2, maybe even 3 on the back of this one as well, with some loss bonus coming into them. So it is extremely difficult still for GODSENT here. At least, you know, they got around.
Encouragingly, though, it is one for GODSENT to at least build that CT side economy.
Oh,
Crucial's all over that.
There's a great read to come out for Crucial. And had very stellar series with the AWP. You got Nerds up there in the kill part. Kind of everybody on Endpoint doing what they need to. Mighty Max, I mean, it's not reflected in the kill regard for him, but you think of his CT side, you know, there wasn't many duels that he ended up facing.
No, just caught in that rotating position. Or the B anchor, to be honest. So, Taco now. Just take Nert, so it's back to a 4 versus 4. And Endpoint retain that heavy presence towards the A brackets. Yes, they're sending Boros back towards B. However, Surreal has picked up a big scalp, and this is starting to fall apart for GODSENT.
And you look where the remaining 2 players are at the other side of the map. You know, they have to start to run that marathon over towards A. It's still going to be the util clears for Endpoint, making sure all the formalities are there and they do not get caught tripping over their own shoelaces. But that bomb will go down, and it's going to be Lado and Dumao to try and retake.
And you just get that sinking feeling for GODSENT. As the grenades are going to come in. Are they going to meet their mark? Yes, they do some damage to Mighty Max. However, Crucial just nips the shoelaces of Lado, and that Molotov is just going to disengage them for the moment. However, Dumao, they've got to fight for this. They've got to go for it, GODSENT, because they are up against match point. This could be Ancient here as Crucial does a good job, and Dumao is running out of time. He is forced into a corner. He's trying to throw everything he can at Endpoint, and that is us going to the 3rd map in Ancient. Don't go anywhere. The analyst desk will be up next to break this all down.